Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Weekly Wave. I'll go ahead and get started, and we're going to start with the ASR. It closes on July 1st of 2022. It's just a reminder to still check your calendars to verify they're correct. Be sure that you look for your professional days, teacher conference days, and make sure they're being reported correctly. We ask that you check your student view to make sure transportation is being reported correctly, and also check find missing students. That way it might help you identify if there's an ownership issue, a student missing an SDN, or possibly a validation error that's keeping that student from actually being counted on the ASR. So it's a good habit to get into to always check the find missing students. Also new this year, Alt Ed Student View. If you make a note in the notes section, it will email state aid automatically. So any questions that you have in regards to the state aid or in the ASR, you need to contact state aid at stateaid@sde.ok.gov. or you can call Lori or Mitzi directly, and Lori's number is 405-522-0139, and Mitzi's is 405-522-0120. I'm not sure if they have anything else to add to this. I'll let them speak now if they do.
And the only thing that I really have to say is the alternative ed student view we're working on trying to figure out with OMES how to change the start and end date if we can get that in place before May. So just keep on looking at it to see if you see anything else that's wrong with it. Check your calendars, check your calendars, check your calendars. We've sent out we went through the whole state. We've sent out our emails about what we've seen on the professional days and parent teachers and just some random stuff that we saw. So if you got an email, just get it changed. And then go in there and just make sure you guys know your calendars better than we do. So just look at them because that really drives all the data that comes in with it. So if we can get that correct now, it will go a little smoother, hopefully at ASR time.
Thanks, Lori. Okay, exit codes and exit dates. So every student will require an exit code and date when ending an enrollment. So this pertains to any enrollment during the year or at the end of the school year. So know that at the end of the school year, you're going to need to either end your students with the 1921 that they graduated, or if they've moved to another district, you'll need to use that appropriate code. Or if they've just graduated, not graduated, but they finished the year as far as it's the end of the school year, you're going to use 3505. You'll be able to verify in the student's records if it doesn't contain an exit code and exit date in the ASR on each student. Because the second line, when you do the plus sign and drop it down, it shows any students that exited, the reason, the date. So please be checking those. If it's not populated correctly, it could affect your dropout report. So we've also included a list of those codes to ensure you're using the correct one. Another thing I want to say is we are trying to see if possibly we can either, when you do the download of the ASR, that it prints that second line with the exit code information, or possibly doing an additional report on the reporting tools that just addresses those exit codes and exit dates. So that's more to come on that, but I just wanted to let you know what we're trying to work on in that regard. Exit, the codes that are currently available for use. So when not entered, like I said in the previous slide, it does affect accountability reporting. So ballot codes are going to be 1909 for out of state if the student moves out of state to a public school. Private schools out of state are the 1912 and 15, depending on the circumstance. Private schools in state, 1910, 1911, 1913, 1914. If a student moves outside the country, it's going to be 1916. If they have to go to an institution, 1917. If they're going to be homeschooled next year, or they leave to be homeschooled, you're going to end them with a 1918. If it's a public in-state transfer, depending on the circumstance, it's either going to be 1907, 1908, 1919, 3508. So if they exited into school year, it's going to be 3505. However, if you're moving a student from virtual to brick and mortar, that's going to be the exit code you're going to use. Either way, if they're going from virtual or going from brick and mortar and you end date that student, 3505 is the code you're going to use. As I mentioned earlier, 1921 for graduated, 1923 if a student passes away, 1924 for illness. So, and I know that State Ed had sent out this notice earlier on a government delivery message to the districts, and for some reason it included their name as the contact. Actually, if you have questions about exit code and exit dates, they should be directed to accountability@sde.ok.gov or studentdatainfo@sde.ok.gov. Enrollment and attendance guidance for this year. So please be sure that you are, in relation to COVID, that you're coding these students correctly. Their basis of admission would either be resident, open, transfer, and that if it's traditional learning is used when the instruction is provided face-to-face, person-to-person at a brick and mortar building. And you're going to use the COV is an attendance code if the student is absent from traditional instruction environment and is not assigned or being served through a distant learning environment. It's going to be COV. It's going to be an absent, excused, and your absent value is either going to be half day or full day. So 0.5 or 1.00, and the description would be COVID-19. Distance learning is when they're not at the school environment. A student is absent from a traditional learning environment assigned to present in distance learning based upon local distance learning policies. So your attendance code in that regard is going to be DVAP. It's going to be an absent, excused, and your absent value is 0 because they're actually learning, they're actually present learning at a distant environment. So also distance learning continued. So if they are absent from a traditional learning environment assigned to an absent from distance learning environment based upon the distance learning attendance policy, is going to be DVA. It's absent, excused, and their value for absence is either going to be half day or full day, and it is a distance learning absence. So if they're assigned distance learning and they're sick or they're not actually doing the learning process, they're going to be considered absent. So RV off is virtual learning. Virtual learning is when a student's regular mode of instruction is a virtual environment or through other means of distance learning models and is outside the traditional environment. So you would use your local district's attendance policy. Same thing with blended learning. It's used when there's a combination of virtual and brick and mortar. So keep in mind and make sure you're using the correct codes in those instances. Okay, SDN Wizard. Last I checked, we had quite a few SDNs out there that had not been resolved. Please know that you have the capability of resolving them, but you can't create a new SDN. So in order to do that, you'll have to assign it to us. But if it's one that you see matches up and doesn't need a new one created, feel free to do that. I mean, you're able to do that and should be correcting those or resolving those. Ownership wizards, they need to be resolved if your students are to be counted in your district. As always, please reach out to the conflicting district and see if they're not resolving it, then you need to probably reach out to your RAO for assistance in that. Validation errors. There is a large number of validation errors in there. And like I said earlier, it does affect some of your students showing up on the ASR report. So please get those resolved. If you have questions about resolving some of them, feel free to contact us at the studentdatainfo@sde.ok.gov address, and we'd be more than happy to assist you in them. Our new collection points for 22-23, we're going to start collecting the data on class rank, GPA weighted, GPA unweighted, and English learner intervention strategies. We've already contacted all the vendors in the state and made them aware of the new collection points, and none feel like it's a huge lift for the from the district perspective. So they feel like it's something that they can do on their end. So just FYI on that. New Wave accounts. If you are giving Wave access to a new employee, it will take up to 24 hours for your access to show up, but your superintendent will have to provide SSO access for that person before requesting it from OMES. So please be aware of that. You can contact the OMES service desk at servicedesk@omes.ok.gov. If you have questions for our department, we can be reached at studentdatainfo@sde.ok.gov. And most of the information and documents that we've shared today are located on the documents and guides part of our student information tab on our SDE website. And also these WAVE calls, the documentation are posted weekly. So please refer to that if you have questions. And actually Eric's not here today, so I will attempt at answering the questions that I can. If I can't, please let me know what district you're from. So must all students have an exit code in the ASR before the report is certified? Yes, June, they should. So after you've closed out your end of school year and you've updated your graduated students to the 1921, then you need to, I mean, you can update the rest of them to the 3505, but it does need to be done prior to certification.
Nancy, this is Terry Warren. Can I jump in and ask a question about that?
Sure.
Do all the vendors know that? Because all of our existing students that are just promoted, they don't get their exit codes until we do our rollover and promotion after state reports, so in July.
I don't know, Terry, but I can definitely check on that. Do you do the rollover? I mean, do you do the in-dating of the students, or does your vendor?
No, I do, but we can't close them out until all state reports are done in June. So we've always been told, don't do it until July. And so I manually put an exit code in for all of my graduating seniors just because of the dropout report. But now you're asking us to manually do it for every single student in our district?
Is there not a way that you can run a query that will update everyone?
No, not by itself.
Okay.
When we promote and roll over, it automatically puts them in.
Who is your vendor?
Power School.
Okay, I will check with Ben and Tarab on this.
Okay.
Nancy, this is June Jared with Glenville Public Schools, and this is going to cause some issues for us to have to really rethink how we handle our summers. Like she said, we do need to keep accessing that student data through the end of the month, through June. Sometimes with special ed, we've had problems with their statuses not showing up in some of those reports because we've indated them at the end of the term, or like the student has left, but they were still special ed during the school year. So we've experienced some problems with things like that in the past. And in addition to that, we have summer school and other programs that we want to continue sending data to, like third-party vendors or to different LMSs. And if those students, for us, if we can't keep them in an active status and we can't communicate through School Messenger and some of those other platforms, so I mean, we'll have to completely come up with new processes in our district to manage those other programs. So that's kind of, I think, what some of us are not sure how to navigate.
Okay. I can check on it, June. This is coming from accountability. So I'll voice your concerns, but it has to do with dropouts mainly and making sure they're coded correctly.
So if we have that, as long as we have those exit codes and those exit dates in there before the wave rollover, then all of that data should go over to accountability without any problem.
Well,
And that generally doesn't happen till the end of June, but you'll
Right.
publicize that date, correct?
When we're going to roll it over?
Yes.
Yes, we will.
So that would be really helpful, you know, for us, if we could at least not have to roll them over until that date.
I don't know if that's going to be their decision because a lot more goes into it, why they came up with this. But like I said, I'll check and see, and I'll give you everyone an update on the next call.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
And Nancy, this is Terry from Choctaw again. If they're really just concerned about the dropouts and those type things, those kids have already been coded because they've obviously dropped out. So they've already been withdrawn with an exit date and exit code. We're mainly, and what I hear from June, it sounds like we agree, we're talking about all of our current active students.
Right, like it's when everybody, if you know that they not graduated, that finished the year, we're asking that you just populate that date, 3505. But I will voice your concerns, like I said, Terry, and let them know that it's not going to be feasible or it's an issue, and we might get a call together with them and let you explain more in detail how it's going to affect what you do.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nancy, like she was saying, we can handle the graduates, so we can give all of those graduation dates and exit codes in that timely fashion, and our dropouts the same way. But it's those kids that we want to keep active.
Well, if they finish the school year though, June, and they're not doing summer school, would it not be feasible to end date them?
Well, the problem is going to be that we still need to send out messages to all of those parents to communicate with them during the summer. We still have transportation that needs to roll up during those times. And we have a lot of other programs that we just kind of keep running for the kids to access from home during the summer. And those all depend on the students having an active enrollment record. And if our new year doesn't start till 7/1, and because I keep all my students active as of 7/1 until school starts, then that puts those students in a non-active status, and then it affects a lot of peripheral things that we work with during the summer.
Okay, I
So
understand.
that's the issues that I'm running into in my district.
Okay, well, I will get with them during the week, and I'll definitely discuss your concerns, and if they want to have conversation with you about it, I'll be more than happy to set up a call on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Nancy.
It's not a problem. Terry,
Nancy?
I'll have to check and see who handles the post-secondary opportunities report. I'm not really sure off the top of my head.
Hey, Nancy.
Uh-huh.
Hi, this is Ariane. I'm from Broken Arrow Public Schools. Just for clarification, the dropout report, are those the kiddos that are 10 days consecutive absences? So the 1931, do we need to change those exit codes to drop out?
Well, I mean, if you know they're a dropout, then you need to use the correct exit code. If they've gone for 10 days and you don't know where they're at, you would not change those to 3505. You would keep them
as a 1931 for the
Yes.
10-day drop. But my
Yes,
concern was, do we end the school year with them being on a 1931? Or do we go in and change all those 1931s to the dropout? I guess is what I'm asking.
okay, so is 1931 the dropout?
1930, yes, no, 1931 is a 10-day drop.
It's still considered it would probably be captured as a dropout too.
So we don't need to change it, then we can leave it,
I
remain
believe,
as,
yes.
okay, perfect, thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay. Hold on just a second. Says, if you can check your attended previous school first on the STN to see if there might be matches for those. Oh, okay, never mind. That's something else. Okay. Renee's asking, what is the latest on the student records portal being open for parents to complete the online instead of on paper? Is that, Renee, is that for transfer? Oh, okay. I think you can do it there. It's going to be open in July, I believe. The transfer portal. I'm going to have to check on that for you. I don't have those dates down, Renee. What district are you with? Okay, I'll get back to you on that. Let's see, Debbie, you've been in contact with Wingage regarding the issue of exit codes, and they do not seem to be aware of the change. Debbie, I will make sure that they are. And Sydney Boyd has mentioned that accountability handles the post-secondary opportunities report. And June says 10-day drop will be a dropout, which yes, 1927 is a dropout code. Linda Apple, in the past, 1931 and 1927 both were considered dropouts. Can you provide a link to the document that lists the codes that translate to document? Yes, it'll be on the, I will post this slide, but I'll update it to include the dropout list, okay? Have there been any issues reporting regarding transportation missing from the ASR? Lori, can you answer that?
So I've seen some districts that are sending just first 9 weeks. I've seen some districts who aren't sending anything, but whoever's asking, well, I wasn't paying, sorry, I was not paying attention.
Okay, so
Until
Eileen's asking, is there any districts reporting issues missing from the ASR?
there is very few. Very few are reporting none. And we've emailed out to all those districts who are not, well, we think we have at least. So if you're having problems with that, just give me a call and I can look it up to see what's happening, see if your data's coming through, if I can see anything that's wrong before we go to your vendor to see why they're not sending something or what's going on.
Okay, and Chris has mentioned that we've been told the transfer portal window for extending transfers closes on 6:30. So that would be where you'd go into the transfer system and extend existing transfers for the next school year. As far, I really believe, and I'll have to check and I'll get back to everyone, that the transfer window opens July 1st for people to actually do it online and not with paper forms. So, but I'll verify that. Anything else?
Nancy, what is the date that they can fill out a paper copy for next year? Is it May 1st or is it July 1?
I think it's July 1. If it's for next year transfer,
Yes.
they're new coming to your school, it would be July 1.
July 1, and then the window for existing closes 6:30. Okay, that makes sense. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
Nancy, did you answer Claire more about their what did she say? The 9 weeks. I can just tell you, Ladina, that I've talked to that district and they're sending that day as an instructional day is their problem. So they've got to get with with their vendor, because Eric has said that you can report whatever day you want at the end of the 9 weeks. I don't think we get second and third 9 weeks anyway. So, but she is working on that with her vendor because it's being sent as an instructional day, even though it says non-instructional in the
Okay.
her system, because she sent a picture of it. I was like, I don't know.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? I just want to say I appreciate all of you for chiming in and helping everyone out. It's really nice to see that you team well with other districts. So thank you all for that. I really appreciate it. Cheryl just says you've indicated this. If you indicate this, I apologize. When will the window open for us to approve existing transfers? So if Cheryl, if you're talking about they're existing and you need to extend them, that opens in May.
Yes, that's what it was. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Nancy, I'm so sorry. This is Terry at Choctaw again.
Uh-huh.
Do I need to talk to accountability about the post-secondary opportunity report data? Or do I need to talk to you guys about what data is pulled? Because we are a block school and it never pulls correctly. And I've done everything everyone's always told me to do. So I kind of wanted to get a jump on that. So we're not working all through June.
I would check with them first because they work any kind of DVRs and stuff like that. So if it's something that needs to be corrected, I
Well,
would
just
check.
what they're seeing. Will they be able to tell me what they can see for our school? That's what I need to find out.
They possibly can by running some reports.
Okay, I will check with them then. Thanks.
If you want, I can check with them and then let you know.
That would be great because our year-long AP courses show up. Our fall AP courses show up, but none of our spring AP courses show up. And that's when the bulk of our AP classes are.
Okay.
And so it's been a problem for us every year. They used to have it where you could upload the edits, and now they don't allow that anymore. So I know there's a few block schools still in the state. I think Stillwater and Claremore maybe still are. So I was just wondering are we the only one? I keep putting block or one semester every place they tell me to put it. But it just never populates right. And it's very frustrating.
Okay. Well, I will check with Alyssa and see if she has a way to identify that now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome, Terry. And then I'll give you a call back at Choctaw.
Perfect.
Does anybody have anything else? If not, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up and then we'll talk again next week. All right, guys. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week, rest of your week and weekend.